Hello there, and welcome to Sweet Child of Time. I'm your host, Steve Barnes, and today we are doing Wheel of Time Season 2. This is Episode 7, Daes Dae'Mar. And with me is my co-host for the Wheel of Time episodes. He is the host of many MLMpod.com podcasts, such as Mostly Speaking Sentai. He's Marshland Monster, and he's just released an album recently, and let's talk to him now. Ahoy there, James.
Ahoy, Chips Even. Hey, guess what? This episode is named Daes Dae'Mar, but you should make a do hashmesh. You should do one of those covers, but whatever this means.
I love it. That's great. Yeah. What does this mean? This means the game of houses. That's what this translates to.
Okay.
And this is a chapter title from The Great Hunt, so we're at the right place. I don't know. This doesn't really quite, the title of this episode doesn't quite tie in with what's happening. I mean, a little bit. I'm surprised they call this episode The Game of Houses, but they did. So here we are.
Well, we got some houses here. You got the royalty house.
The burnt down houses towards the end.
Yeah, you have the Amarillan seat. That's one house. And then the house is divided as well. And it's the game of those houses. It's the political leanings trying to best the other. Ooh, king me. But thank you, Dark One. You did king me. But oh no, Mom was listening in through the vents. I should have known as a child she did that too.
That was the best game of houses we probably saw this episode, as a matter of fact. I really like this one a lot. And I was saying beforehand that even though this episode is like wildly off the books, like this is, I mean, it's veering wildly off course, but at the same time, I can see that it's heading to the exact same place, just a different path. And I really thought this episode was a strong, like Wheel of Time, Robert Jordan episode. There's so many quotes that are directly from the books and so many quotes that are book worthy that are in this episode, and the character choices. This is a very Wheel of Time episode. I loved it.
Yeah, I don't mind because I live my life off the books, aka I don't pay taxes.
James, you can't admit that on microphone. It's fine to do it, but
Well,
I got to edit it out now.
It's fine because technically I don't have an income in order to pay taxes.
Oh, that's smart. Okay, yeah, completely off the grid. So
And I pay everything with cash, so then they're not like, well, what about spending taxable stuff that you purchased online?
I wish we still had some marks and some gold dragons we could push your way. That kind of money system was nice back in Wheel of Time.
The Golden Dragon Reborn.
But hey, a couple things I wanted to do right up front here, James. I know we sometimes talk about reviews, and there was one review that you had that I encouraged you to read because it sounded like this person was right on board with what I'm feeling, how this is different from the books, but yet it's very much the same. What did they have to say?
Oh, I'll bring that up. This is from IMDb from Hessax 1263, or actually I should say 126603. It's not like 63. I phrased this incorrectly. It's 12603. Oh, dang. That used to be my old phone number. They say most riveted from the books, yet solid episode, 9 out of 10. Since the two previous episodes were such great adaptations in terms of writing, execution, and acting, this episode was kind of hard in the first watch for a book fan. I don't know how, like, in terms of acting, like, a book is, like, written pages, so there's not really much acting going on, guys. I'm kidding. I understand what you mean in that, like taking the characters and like the acting out and whatnot. But they go on to say it still managed get the characters where they needed to be, and it built a specific arc that will come later to season 3 in a really good way. You hope, at least. Yeah. Those 2 actors or 3 actors are my most favorite casting choices. It's Sophie Roseman and Natasha.
Yep.
ever made in the show. You can't help but fall in love with their scenes, even though some of them are deviating so much from the book. Stop caring about the books, guys.
We kind of can't help it. I mean, even me, who's like, a huge TV show watcher, and I'm like, I'm positioned to not like these anti-book people or like the anti-show people. I mean, I recognize it too, and it's really hard to like to not, not have that click in your brain and not have it there when you see something so different. It's fun. Some people get angry by it, but it's really hard to like step past it and not talk about it. It really is.
There was an episode, actually an entire season of with Gorley and Rust where they talk about horror movies. They
Hmm.
did an entire season, I think 8 or 9 episodes just on The Shining, just the movie The Shining. Then they did
Okay.
one episode about also this like huge book that was recently published about The Shining. Then they watched the documentary Room 2 whatever that
Hmm. It
talking
was
about all the
great.
conspiracy theories, and
Loved it.
then Doctor Sleep. I
Oh yeah.
if anyone has been listening to, I think, this show, you know that I hate Stanley Kubrick. I think he's a con man in cinema, and
Hmm.
I I watched The Shining and was like, "Why the fuck do people enjoy this?" But I enjoyed their conversation about it, and I'm
Okay.
like, "Okay, these are 2 people who love this." When they got to Doctor Sleep, I almost had to it's the only time in a long time with a podcast I enjoy that I'm like, "I'm just gonna skip this one," because they kept talking shit on Doctor Sleep, but more specifically on how it deviates from The Shining, the movie, and Stanley Kubrick, but also
Okay.
sometimes like do
I
fan
see.
servicey things to
Right.
show. And I'm like, stop complaining about this. This is not Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. The only
Right.
reason this person is putting in those details is to kind of twine together, knowing that the movie is bigger than the book The Shining, and kind of weaving those two into one. And like, who gives a shit? I love Ghoulies 3. When people start saying, "The Ghoulies can talk now," guess what? Who cares? It's still a good movie. Ghoulies 3, 5 thumbs up, and I only have 2. Hellraiser Hellworld. I love a Hellraiser. The eighth one is fucking weird. But guess what? It's still a good movie.
We like what we like. My One of my all-time, maybe my all-time favorite show in the world is Home Movies by Brendan Small.
Mhm.
Completely crude, really bad animation, done on a dime's budget. It's one of the best shows out there, hands down. But people won't watch it because the first season is hard to watch because the animation is so bad.
I
But
don't
the
watch
heart and the soul of the show is wonderful.
I stopped watching after season 1 because I was like, "When you're out of that squiggle vision, no thank you. That's what home movies is to me." See how stupid that sounds, guys? You book
Oh,
readers out there?
speaking of book readers, Doctor Sleep was a book too. That was an adaptation of a book. I don't know if they
Mhm.
mentioned that or not. And
They did.
I'm with you. I love the movie Doctor Sleep. I thought the name of the movie was like the stupidest title of a movie I maybe have ever heard in my life. I think that's Doctor Sleep just doesn't ring well. Like phonetically, it doesn't even work. But great movie. I loved it, and great work with Ewan McGregor in that one. I mean, standing ovation when it was over. I loved it.
I've never seen it.
Oh, it's nothing like The Shining, so it's definitely worth it. I think that yeah, James, give it a shot. It
Okay.
existed, so give it a shot.
Alright.
It's a great one. One of my absolute I wouldn't say it's my favorites, but it really, far exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, 'cause The Shining set your expectations so low.
It doesn't ha
God!
it barely has anything to do with The Shining, so you just have to watch it as its own movie.
Stanley Kubrick can get DDT'd by The Edge. And yeah, I mean the guitarist from U2, not the wrestler Edge.
You 2 fresh from their Sphere concert. That thing was incredible. I don't know if you saw that or not, but they just played the Sphere in Las Vegas, and definitely take a look at that on YouTube. It's an amazing phenomenon, this sphere thing they have. It's like the only impressive thing I've seen in Las Vegas that looks interesting to me. And U2 like did their opening concert, and I know you just brought up U2 as an aside, but I just watched it, so it's very synchronicitous.
Real quick, is this sphere that thing that makes like a big old eyeball?
Yeah, that's
I
right.
thought that was okay, that makes more sense. I thought the sphere was just a thing to project art on. I didn't know there was stuff inside happening, so
Yeah.
thank God.
It does the same thing inside that it does outside, and it's not just an eyeball, it's all I mean, there have been, like,
Yeah,
countless images across it.
like the
But let me
American flag, baby.
Hell yeah. But let me get to Wheel of Time stuff here. Today is October 3rd, and our episode 5 just released. And we got feedback this morning from an individual. I wanted to read this. This is Richard from the UK, and he writes in and says, "Hey guys, first off, he says, love your podcast. I love you too, Richard. He says, as a Brit, it was quite funny listening to you two puzzling on the last episode about the pronunciation of lieutenant. It's very simple. In British English, the word lieutenant is pronounced lieutenant. That's all there is to it. He sends me a couple of links that I checked out on Wikipedia in dictionary.com. He also says, I'm pretty sure that you've gotten plenty of emails about this already. Richard, you're the only one. Thank you, buddy. He says, all the best. All the best back to you, Richard.
Okay, so Richard, I have one critique, or this is a critique for Steve Barnes.
Okay.
When did we talk about lieutenant?
When this is episode 5, that's why I bring that up. And it's
Of this season?
Moraine. Yeah, yeah. This was a couple weeks back. Moraine was talking and she was like, you thought that you had killed the Dark One, but you only set his strongest lieutenant free. That
Oh, oh, I thought you were just misheard.
No, no, and we had a you and I had a discussion about lieutenant versus lieutenant, and that's exactly what it is. British Americans pronounce it
Okay.
lieutenant. It's that simple.
I could have swore this was a 1 second conversation.
Maybe it was, but I mean, Richard brought it to the
All
table
right.
again for 2 more minutes, so here we are.
I'll say this is on Steve Barnes for not coming prepared with exactly what I said and he said. So I'd be like, all right, because it mostly speak in Sentai, specifically when people bring up stuff to be like, oh, James, remember when you said that? I'm like, absolutely not.
All right.
And
Well, I hope you remember. Yeah.
if people bring it up to Nicole, she's like, I do a podcast?
Well, I hope you remember to watch Wheel of Time episode 7 because we're getting into the recap right now, James.
Season 1, episode 7, entitled
Das Dae'Mar, season 2. James is wrong. Okay, the way we're gonna do this is we're starting out, of course, with the cold open with Moraine and Swan, but I'm gonna stick with all of our characters that are in Karheen. So that's Rand, Moraine, Land, Logain, Lady Anavir. We're gonna talk all about them up until the very end, and
Okay.
then we'll check in with all our Falm friends and the other places.
Heck yeah. And Matt
So
is kind of in
yeah.
between.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. We're gonna start with him because he goes from one place to the other exactly as
Okay.
he should. So we start out 20 years in the past. We got
20
Moraine and
beers
Swan.
ago.
They're a couple of young Aes Sedais, and they are young and in love, and it seems like their priority is basically each other. I mean, they seems like they obviously are Aes Sedai, so they've done all their vows and they've gone through the arches, but they're in love. They're already ready to retire and just hang out with each other. So this meeting that they're getting ready to head to is they're just going to inform Lady Guitarra, or I should say Guitarra Sedai, not Lady Guitarra. Where did that come from? Just to let her know that the war is over. So they're giving her some good news.
And before that, they're saying, I got a cabin on the river. It's going to be great.
Mhm.
And I loved how Meringue did this puzzling look and said, "And I'll be your fish wife?" And I love that
I wrote that down too.
the Amarillan Sea loves fish. She makes a lot of fish
Oh, yeah.
analogies, metaphors, similes. But the fish wife is the mortal enemy of the worm wife.
Yeah, we got fishwives here, and I think it's cool. They're totally an odd couple because Moraine's like the eldest daughter of her house, so she's all royalty. Swan's a poor fisherwoman, but they're totally in love here. It's great. Talking to Lady Guitara, she has the foretelling, just like men, and that is kind of like her special talent that she has. And she's always right about all of her foretellings. She has a 100% record. So when she gives this foretelling here that the dragon reborn is being born at that exact moment, and as she's given this great foretelling about the dragon, she drops dead afterwards. They kind of take it seriously. And this makes them kind of change their purpose in life from just wanting to retire and hang out together to like, oh shit, we got like huge responsibility now. It's up to us to carry this forward. And they can't tell anybody else about this because this is a huge secret. Guitara. What you got, James? What did you find over there?
It's, people saying, "My wife asked me if I'd still love her if she was a worm, and when I said no, she cried." It's just an internet meme.
Okay. Internet phenomenon. Yep. So yeah, this whole meeting with Guitara like changed like their whole path, and they stopped being girls and they became serious Aes Sedai at this point. So their goal was for and they were like some of the strongest Aes Sedai around at this time. So everybody was like, had eyes on them at the time.
They're the strongest channeler we've ever met.
So yeah, the plan was for one of them to be the Amarillan seat and the other one to help guide the dragon on the outside so that when they all meet up, they're good to go.
I have 2 things about this. One, how they are finding out about this and how they're reacting to a child being born is as if 2 people who had their life set up and, "Uh-oh, we're pregnant." That's what
Yeah.
it felt like. And
Yeah.
then 2, this when it's told, has always seemed like they went to a meeting and this was what they were being told. They were bequeathed this information because they were the only ones to be trusted with it. But in reality,
Nope.
it's you stumbled on someone kind of having cardiac arrest and then they
Mhm.
died and you're like, "Oh fuck. We
I'm
got to
glad it
take this
was
we got to take this to the grave. This is almost I know what you did last summer."
we're lucky it was like not Leandrin and somebody else that was there for this foretelling, but it was the pattern. The pattern in the wheel is what led the right people to the right
Mhm.
place at the right time. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and cut to present day, and we're gonna have Moraine and Swan meeting up once again. This is the first time they've met since Swan, like quote unquote, banished her from the tower. So they're back together now, and they're led by Leanne and her giant fucking coat. That giant coat, like this, all the costumes in this show are like brilliant, and all the details are great. And they give Leanne like this big, bulky, like houndstooth jacket that she has to wear the whole episode. I feel really sorry for her, and she looks pissed off too.
Nicole was watching some scene she was in, but Nicole was on her phone, so I don't know where this rates on the silly scale.
It's very silly. This jacket is silly. And yeah, she seems pissed off that like when she brings Moraine into Swan, she's dismissed. She was hoping that she would be able to stick around for this meeting, but Swan's
Is
like,
sh
I don't need you. She's fine.
is she the keeper?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, she's seeming a little
Mm,
fishy, guys.
mm-hmm. Yep. I don't like her vibe either. She's like second in command, and she's a blue Aja. She's a blue. Moraine's blue. And Swan was blue before she was on Marilyn. They should all be buddies. At one
Mhm.
time, they were all buddies. They were all in this together. Like Leanne doesn't know what these other two know, but she's been like their pal since they were kids. And look at them now, man. She's giving these mean looks. Anyway, She is here because Siuan is pretty pissed at Moraine, not just because she's been banished from the tower, but she did a few no-nos. She didn't let Swan know that she's been stilled, which I can kind of forgive Moraine for that. She's pissed off that Moraine had threatened to pass her bond, Land's bond, to Alana by force. And just book knowledge, doing something like that in this world is like as bad as like raping someone. Like getting inside, like taking a man as your warder without his consent is just like, a
Mm.
sexual assault because you're getting inside of him and you're taking over and you're controlling him against his will. And so that's basically what Moraine is being accused of here. And also, Alana now knows about the dragon too. So, like another Aes Sedai is now aware. So she's pissed off about these three things in particular. Swan basically wants in. She's like, "You haven't done anything right. I want to meet Rand." So that's what we're leading up to here.
And in this scene, I forgot that they all call her mother, and it's so gross.
It
But I do
is.
have something to announce. All my co-hosts on Marshland Media must
Oh.
call me father.
All right, James. Next scene.
Excuse me? I'm
We're
kidding.
in,
I'm the co-host here, so you don't need to call me father.
I don't think anybody is going to do that, James. Not a one.
Nicole's been calling it for the last 10 years. Yaga yow. I'm kidding. That's disgusting.
All right. So outside, while this is going on, Lan is giving Rand a pep talk and some guidance. He tells Rand, do it like a man. Whatever comes, you face it on your feet. That reminded me of Uno. Like everybody was like bowing to the Senshin, and Uno was like, "I'm not gonna bow. I'm gonna stand on my feet." And he got killed for it. So that's kind of a bad comparison, but that's what it made me think about when Lan said that.
You missed the best part of this. It's how it starts out and how you really see Lan is one
Okay.
coming into his own and is there to make sure he is the best dragon he can be. Because this is very fatherly. The first thing it cuts and immediately there's no beat. It's just it cuts to this scene and you see Ran walking in front of Lan and immediately Lan says, "Tuck in your shirt." Which I
Okay.
thought was so funny, and Rand's like,
Okay.
"No!"
Well, yeah, you're right. You're right. I guess I missed that small detail there, but sure, yeah, he's giving us all this stuff. He tries to take Rand's sword. Rand like overreacts extremely about that, which I think is kind of interesting. Like, I know he's like cherishing this thing because it's his father's sword, but I don't know what he thinks Land's going to do with it.
No, he's afraid he's going to be murdered, and he would like this sword because that's how he currently that's the only training he has to defend himself is this sword. So I think he is going into this thinking if someone tries to steal me, I might be able to defend myself with the powerful magic that's just going to burst from me, but I
Hmm.
know I'm going to be able to slice some people. And this is how we also see Lan coming into his own, being
Hmm.
fatherly and understanding. He not only is like, all right, you want to know what? Here's why I'm going to take this or why I want it. And I see you've been training, you know some styles.
Right,
However,
right.
when you go in there and if something does happen, use this technique and do it this way to make sure you get the job done.
Kind of. I'm going to go against you a little bit here because the only reason Lan allowed Rand to take his sword and was like, "Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and take your sword," is because he knows that a sword is useless against the Armorillan seat.
Yeah.
It's like a silly weapon. Like, so if Rand feeling like he's going to do something with it, it's not going to happen.
Okay,
But
I know a stuffed animal isn't actually going to defend me from ghosts, but
right, right,
as a
right, right.
child, that is there for comfort, and I
Okay.
think that's what he's doing. Again,
That's a
he's
good
being
parallel.
fatherly.
And he tells him to use cat crosses the courtyard. That's not a sword move. That is a body positioning. That's like when you're walking. Imagine like a cat walking across, a place where a bunch of other cats might be checking it out. The cat might be swinging its tail back and forth and kind of strutting its stuff. That's what he recommends for Rand to do, but Rand does not do that. He just kind of walks in there normal, no strutting. But he goes in there and says, "I stand ready," which is a weird thing to say. Lan coached him to say that, but we know he's not ready by any stretch of the imagination. He's not ready at all. He's completely untrained, and she's going to tell us in a few minutes here. While that's going on, though, we're going to cut back to them, of course. But at this exact moment, all the other Aes Sedai, I guess, are like on break. They're down in the courtyard, down like in the school commons, all hanging out. And let's see, Viren and Yasika meet up. Yasika's a real one. She like sneaks out like an Ogier map from the library and hands it off to Viren, like all secretive like, so that Joya Sadai can't see her. Thomas then goes off to study that map of the city. And then while that's going on, we got Alana, Maxim, and Ivan are watching all this transpire. So they know something's up. So Ivan goes to follow Thomas. This is okay because they have like this 3-to-1 rule in their family where if two people okay it, then then it goes. Alana doesn't want them split up because there's rumors there's a Forsaken in the city. But yeah, I'm glad that Ivan goes and follows Thomas anyway to see what Thomas is up to with that Ogier map. And then Maxim asks a good old question. He's looking at the other Aes Sedai and he's like, "So where's Leandrin?" We're going to go find her in just a second here, James. Did you have any notes for these Aes Sedai?
No.
Okay. I wanted to point out Joya Sedai. We see her a couple times and we've talked about her, her alopecia. And you see her, she's wearing like a dark pink jacket here. And we see her later and she's wearing something purple. She's a gray Aja. I just wanted to point that out that she is a gray, and the grays are all into politics and mediation. So that might be why she's over there hanging out with the other red sister. But she's not a purple Sedai. She's not a pink Sedai. She's gray Aja. Just wanted to clarify that.
And how they're looking at her, making her look suspicious.
Yeah.
Again, if she turns evil, we will be pissed.
Alrighty, we'll see. Leandrin went over to House Damondred and is hanging out with them for some reason. She goes and has a little meeting with Lady Anavir and with Barthanes, and he demands. He demands. I was getting ready to say he asks, but yeah, he demands Lady Anavir to leave the room. This is royal business. So once she leaves, Leandrin and Bart turn serious, and we find out here that Barthanes is listening to the Dark One. He says, "What does my master ask of me?" Leandrin says, "Bart, you need to remove Moraine from the board today." And you can see visibly that upsets Bart. He doesn't want to kill his aunt, but this is what his master asks of him. Leandrin's like, "Oh, by the way, and if your mom suspects anything, you got to remove her too." And mom is listening. She's got her little secret ears under her like table there, and she hears all this and she looks horrified. Her little Bart, Mr. Double Butter Bart, he's a dark friend, man. He's like scheming against the family.
It's crazy how we've discussed this man
Mm-hmm.
and said it's pretty much obviously saying yeah, he's got to have some divine intervention, or he has to be a dark friend, because how the fuck did this man become a be married to a queen soon without saying any of that? We're just thinking this is weird, but we thought it was his mom's politicking and we believed her to be that strong and powerful. But in reality, this kid just fucked off and said, "Oh, come here, Dark One. My aunt's been real mean to me." Because that's a twist that I audibly said, "Whoa!"
All right, so then we're gonna stick with them. So a little later on, Lady Annevere sets up a little trap for little Barthanez. So Barthanez is being led by one of like their people to a cell where he believes that Moraine is at. And he's got his nice little sword, so it looks like he's gonna do the deed himself. And so once he gets in that room, we find out that it's a trap. Lady Annevere has imprisoned her son to save Moraine, and he is vehemently against this. He's like, once she leaves, she's never going to think about us again. Moraine sucks. Remember how bad she sucks? And Steve Barnes gave her like the least favorite character last episode. Lady Annevere was like, she sucks, but she knows right from wrong. And she also knows that, what did I write down here? She also has the strength to do what is right. And that's something that little Barthanez does not have.
He says, "Oh, please don't tell the queen." And she says, "I already have." And then a bunch of dudes come with what looks like guns, maybe, or spears to stab into him.
Yeah, I don't think he's about to be like. I thought that was weird because he should have a public trial or something. I don't think he should just be stabbed right away. He needs to be questioned. Hopefully, they're going in there to question him to get some more information to find out, who he's getting his orders from.
It does suck that. Oh no, because did Moraine's sister also explain Leandrin is the one saying this, and Aes Sedai was explaining to him that the Dark One is
Yes.
demanding so all of this is being spoken about.
This is the game of this is like the only reason this show could be called the Game of Houses is because of this. This is going to set like politics crazy in this town because nobody believed that there were dark friends and Forsaken. Now all of a sudden it's like not only is it true, but it's like Lady Annevere's, foppy son, and he was getting ready to marry the queen. And
Hmm.
so I don't see great things for for this city and for the politics later on. It's like a linchpin, basically.
Well, no, but now everyone knows about Leandrin too, right?
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yes. It's not just Rima, because so far they don't know about Leandrin, but they will absolutely once Lady Annevere spreads this word around.
Hmm. Fingers
Yes.
crossed that she's not omitting that.
Next up, meanwhile, also while Rand is getting ready to talk to the Amarillan, we see Lan and Moraine talking here. Lan asks Moraine, did she ever think of killing herself since she's been quote unquote stilled? Because he says out of all the Aes Sedai who have been stilled, there's only two that have not killed themselves. So she says, nope, I've been dedicated to the cause, and she's dedicated to her mission of protecting Rand. So that's been driving her forward. We also kind of know that, like, the stilled thing is, we'll talk about it later, but we all know what's up. Lan knows that Moraine needs protecting herself because he thinks she's been stilled. And he's thinking if he can't protect her, then Swan should be the one to protect her. So
Hmm.
that's why he's made all these maneuvers to get Moraine to the tower and to get Rand to the tower, is
Hmm.
because he wants to help Moraine. That's his whole goal in life. And he's sticking with it.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. So now we get the meetup. We get Rand and the Amarillan. This is like a power meetup. This is like the biggest, people in the world, the two most powerful channelers in the world, supposedly meeting up here, the dragon and the Amarillan. Except our dragon is a pretty weak one. We know he needs to learn control or he will die or go mad. She says, as sure as roe makes fish. What the hell does that mean? What
Oh,
is
I thought she said as sure as rain makes fish.
she
To which
says
I
sure as
said
yeah, yeah.
I'm pretty sure rain makes corn and epto facto makes my girl a little frisky.
No, she said roe, like ROE is what it said, because I watched this with the captions on. And Maybe that's something you can Google for me later. I don't know what the hell that means, but it's a fishy saying, obviously. So yeah, Rand, he doesn't want to be controlled by the wheel anymore. She tells him that Rand, you control the wheel. You can either turn the wheel or you can smash it to pieces. You have that power. You just haven't been trained yet. So she tells him that if the Armorillan finds the dragon reborn, we don't want to gentle him. Instead, we want to imprison him, leash him, and control him to fight for us. So, James, take a step back. Does that sound familiar to you? That whole logic?
You're gonna have to, Rose gross, so that's I was more focused on like, ugh, gross.
What is row?
Okay, row or hard row is the fully ripe internal egg masses in
Ah,
the ovaries or the released external egg masses of fish and certain marine animals such as shrimp, scallops, and sea urchins. As a seafood, roe is used both as a cooked ingredient in many dishes and as a raw ingredient for delicacies such as caviar.
caviar. It's disgusting. All right. So, yeah, as I was saying, it sounds like they're trying to make Rand into a Damane. That's exactly what they're describing.
Hmm.
The same thing that's happening to Egwene. And that's a terrible life for Rand. That's exactly what she's saying. We keep you here, we leash you, you fight for us when we tell you to fight. You're not a general, you just fight for us. Rand isn't liking this. He's like, this is not a conversation. You've already made your decision, which I also like that line a lot too. I'm going to start using that at work. Um, he starts to channel, but Swan like easily just slaps his channel away and blocks him, shields him, no problem at all. And she's pissed. She's like, 6 months you've been the dragon able to channel and you can't do anything. I can handle you like bait fish. That's another
She
quote.
loves fish.
She loves it. But the quote to end all quotes is what she says here. Because, she's shielded Rand. She's pissed. She said, we would have been so much better off if you had been born a girl. That's a mic drop moment right there. I love that line. I think that's a
Mhm.
show line. I don't think that's from the book. And I like too how like they immediately cut to Egwene right
Yeah.
after she says that. I'm not going to Egwene story here, but I think that's really interesting how they like to do that a lot. Talk about the
Mhm.
dragon. Next scene, there's Egwene's face. I like that a lot. So here, Rand is sitting there shielded from the Armorillan. Moraine and Lan enter the room. So Rand, of course, is immobilized. Swan will not release Rand. She says it's time that we obey Tower Law, and she describes Tower Law. And Lan is pissed immediately. This is not what we agreed to. This is not the agreement at all. Moraine reminds her the tower is filled with your enemies, which we haven't really seen that in the show, but just take it for what it is. The tower is filled with people who envy Swan or want Swan's position.
I think really all we've seen is maybe Leandrin.
Right, right. They make brief mention of it, but just take that for what it is. There's a lot of politicking within the tower. And yeah, Moraine brings up a good point. Like you're Amarillan now, that's fine, but like, what if a few months from now you're taking off the throne? The Reds take over. The Reds will gentle him. It's going to happen. Swan turns us around and blames Moraine for all this, and she brings up a good point. Um, what if one of the Forsaken got their hands on him? Everybody kind of keeps quiet there, but it's like, huh, that's kind of already happened twice. But let's just move forward.
About to happen again.
Yeah. So Swan has this plan. She says, tomorrow, me and these 14 Aes Sedai are going to proclaim him the dragon here in Karheen. Bad plan. This is not a good plan. Because what the books say, what all the prophets say, is that he'll be proclaimed in Falm, and there'll be a dragon banner across the sky, and the horn will be blown. If they do this in Karheen, it's just kind of like a weak showing.
Is
And it's
the
also
horn of velour?
yes, that's right.
So that's why it's there, guys.
We're all heading that direction. So them doing this here in Carheen doesn't make any sense for anybody, not for Moraine and Lan, because they want him proclaimed in the proper place so he can be the dragon. And then you got the Forsaken, Ishmael and Lanfear. They don't want Rand locked up in the tower either. They want Rand also in Falme, proclaiming himself as a dragon, so they can immediately like take him down and be like, "Hey, we defeated the dragon. We rip." So everybody wants him in Falme except for Swan. So she's the one kind of going against everybody's plan here. So,
And also except for his dad, because he just wants him back into Two Rivers.
so yeah, they figure that Brand reasons that the Forsaken don't want me here either. So he decides sleepy time. Time to go to sleep and visit our friend Lanfear.
And he's like, I just woke up. How am I gonna do this? And he asks Lan, hey, here's a belt, just like really fasten it around my neck and just pay attention. Once I start going sleepy time, release. If I need extra breathing, you better be there for me.
I think that was a deleted scene you saw. I didn't see that, but that sounds fun. Okay.
And
Forward
Lan says,
forward
"I
that
don't
to
know
me.
if Lan says, "I don't know if I'm really equipped for that." And then the three, two warders and the Aes Sedai, they're like,
Uh-huh.
"We can do it. We know how to do that." And Lan's
Of
like,
course.
"Oh, no, you guys are a little too excitable, and I know you can do it, which is even worse."
We're going to somebody just as crazy. Lanfear, Rand's in Sleepy Time World, aka what is it called? Teleran Royad. So yeah, she's got her like black outfit on here. Very hot topic. These boots are insane. And she's just calmly listening to Rand. She's 100% aware of everything that's happening in Rand's life right now, but she's just calmly waiting for Rand to ask her for help. Eventually he does. It's very funny that he eventually has to directly ask her because she's just waiting. So what she does is she creates a distraction at the foregate. That's her first plan, is to just go create a big distraction so all the Aes Sedai will have their eyes on the foregate where there is a Forsaken like burning everything down. This really reminded me of speaking of other podcasts, you started doing a podcast called The Citizens of Townsville,
Mhm.
and this is exactly who Lanfear reminded me of, was him. The way
Yeah.
that like him was walking through the city like, "Oh, I'm gonna burn the houses down. Watch that one burn." Just kind of calmly, just whatever. This is my day.
Steve, you just
Yes.
gave yourself so much extra work.
What do you mean?
Everyone knows if you're speaking into a microphone and it's being recorded and you do a him impression, you have to do a reverse reverb and an echo to fully simulate what him sounds like.
Oh, damn it. Okay, all right. More work for myself.
They better do that on the Japanese ad, the Powerpuff Girls Z. If they
Oh,
don't do that on him's voice, him's far into the series, and a
oh,
lot of
you
my
haven't seen
friends who
him
are
yet.
like, "I want a him episode." I'm like, "It's not until like 25."
I'll take what I can get, but yeah, him is definitely my favorite. I'm definitely a Mojo Jojo guy. Meanwhile, this is a great scene. This is also a great moment. We got Maxim. He's checking himself out in the reflection of his knife, making sure his hair looks great. He's longing for simpler times with Alana here. Alana says, "What did you expect? An army of kittens?" This is a very cat heavy show because they cut to cats a lot. Have you noticed that?
There's I have a note later on in an Egwene story that I'm like, "Oh my god, I love this."
Okay. But they're with Lan here, and Lan is getting some intel from Logain using a key to the prison as bait. This kind of explains um, Logain's condition, and I was confused last episode, but this clears it up. Where Logain was stilled, so he no longer can channel, but he still has his talent. So his talent is he can see weaves. That was not taken from him when he stilled because that is just his talent. Like Min has a talent, she can do the foretelling. Perrin has a talent. He's a wolf brother. So like, but they can't channel. You get the point. Logain can still do this.
And if anyone is just listening to this podcast and maybe plays Dungeons and Dragons, it's like a feat or a skill opposed to spells, where a skill you don't
Yes.
need spell slots for, or a feat is just something you always have. It's the passive abilities opposed to the active abilities, things you always have.
That's exactly right. So that's what Land's asking him here. Like, when you look at Moraine, do you see her weaves? Logain is eventually goaded into admitting, like, yes, I can see that Moraine has weaves. They've been tied up like a man. They've been tied up, I'm sorry, by a man, but they're not being active. So she just has a giant magic knot inside of her right now that's stopping her from channeling, but it's still there. She still has the spark.
You want to know how he knows it's done by a man?
How?
Just covered in buffalo sauce.
Okay, that was good. Logain's got some good quotes for us here. I got 3 back-to-back Logain quotes. First, when Land first walks in, he says he's playing some stones. "I'd offer to play you in stones, but this is a gentleman's game." Right off the bat. Then Land says, "When you look at Moraine, what do you see? A desperate, lonely woman."
Mhm.
And then his last one, when Land grabs him and calls him mad. "Madness is expecting me to give you a straight answer." Logain, you win every time.
Nicole doesn't know anything about this man, but can assume th- these are the individuals why he's in this weird prison. She's like, yeah, of course he's not going to tell you shit. You guys suck. And they have been so rude and just little keys, shiny things in front of
Oh
this
God.
man's face, and then he goes to grab it, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you actually haven't fulfilled what I actually want you to do."
No, Land's just straight up a dick about it. He's like, "I'll never give you this key. You killed Corinne and Stepan. I'll never forget that." And okay, Logain, you're saying like, they're the ones who put him where he is. He's in a mental health institution being pampered. He would normally be in the White Tower being studied by the Browns, basically being tortured every day. His mind being like examined and his body being examined and him being put through tests and trials. So he should be pretty thankful that he's in a mental health institution instead of at the White Tower being studied.
Hey, with a body like that, it would be a travesty not to be able to examine it.
Well, we're living a travesty, I suppose, then.
No, he's on the fappening, okay? I'm kidding. I did not just look to see if this actor was intruded by hackers during the fappening.
Let's see. He talks about the 2 Browns who would love to study him. He's talking about Vera and Attalus, of course. Viren is the really smart one with the white stripe in her hair. Attalus is the really horny one that wants to screw Land bad. Okay, and speaking of Viren, that's the end of that scene. And like you said, Land was never going to give him that key. I don't think Moraine would ever give Logain a knife so he could kill himself. I mean, you're right. They're torturing him for information. Um, what else can you do, man? Good cop, bad cop. I don't know.
No, this is just bad cop, bad cop.
Viren's a good cop, though. Viren comes in, and she comes into where Rand and Moraine are being held. What's basically happening in this room, what's supposed to be happening in this room, is Leanne in her giant fucking coat is shielding Rand, and Moraine is supposed to be preparing Rand for tomorrow because tomorrow they're supposed to proclaim him the dragon in Karheen. So Moraine's supposed to be giving him like talking points and what to do that day and stuff. So Viren comes in. She's the super craftiest Aes Sedai you've ever met. She says to Leanne, The Armorillan needs your strength to protect the city. That's a true statement if just taken as like a basic general statement. The
Mhm.
Armorillan needs everybody's help to protect the city. She says, I've been told to watch the boy. Also a half truth. The Aes Sedai have to take turns shielding Logain. So she just didn't say when. Last thing she said, this is an order, Leanne. Yeah, this is an order from Viren to Leanne. She's making
Mhm.
it sound like it's an Aes Sedai. It's a Amyrlin seat order, but it's not. So this whole thing works. Viren's awesome. So Viren takes over the shield and sends Leanne away. So I want to go with Leanne real quick. Leanne goes up to Swan to help out put the fires that Lanfear had started. Swan notices Leanne, like, what are you doing here? Leanne says, Viren sent me. Swan knows right away that she didn't send Viren. So she immediately sends Leanne to, lead the sisters now, do the healing. So Swan can go run off and figure out what the hell's up with Viren. So, because when I first watched this, I was like, that's kind of weird how, like, she didn't call it out immediately. But,
Yeah.
I guess she has her own reasoning. I don't know. Politics, man. Okay, I lost myself. Let me find where I am.
Oh, real quick, when
Yes.
Moraine was there telling Rand, "Hey, if this is what's gonna happen, I need to get you prepared to proclaim yourself. These are the things you should do, the things you should say." And you hear Lan, like, outside scream, "And remember to tuck in your shirt."
So yeah, Viren is here to help the group now. She has that Ogier map that Jessica gave her earlier in the episode. Jessica's not part of the team. She doesn't know why that she's finding this map for Viren because she even asks, like, what do you need this map for? Now we know she's looking for a waygate, which are those things that Ogier's built back in season 1 that you can travel through the darkness. So there's a waygate in the city, but because of like gentrification, it's been built over and built around. The gate's still there serving as a wall. Nobody can open it up unless they're magical. So it's
Mhm.
not in danger of being found. Only like a Ogier map would you be able to find this thing. So Viren, when she reveals that she has this Ogier map, and then she hears that Moraine's destination is Falm, she immediately knows the drill. She's like, "Oh, Falm, wear the dragon banner with Rand. Is that what's going on here, Moraine?" Like she is quick as fuck. So she already knows the drill, and now our team is definitely like Alana and Maxim and Ivan have been kind of hovering on the outside for a while, kind of helping our gang out and being part of the gang, but not really because they don't really know the full deal. Now they're definitely part of the gang, so they're
Mhm.
in the know with everybody else, as well as Viren and her warder, the long-haired dude Tomas. They're on board now too, so we have a larger team than before. Perrin's team is growing. He's getting a larger team. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Matt's just kind of laying languid right now, but at least
His
Rand and Perrin are getting lots of allies.
his Matt's team grew by like 1,000.
How so?
What was he doing? He saw 1,000 of himself. He grew. He knows that his past lives.
All right, all right, all right. The Matt within. Okay, mini Matts within. All right.
And boy, oh boy, how's he gonna handle that? Hopefully positively. Uh-oh.
We'll get there,
No.
James. We're almost there, but we're not there yet. So close. So, Alana has a nice line she drops for Rand before she leaves. I hope you're worth all this. Which she is straight up. She's a pretty straight up gal. So now we're here at the Waygate, and we're confused as to how it's going to get opened because it needs magic. And so Moraine is expecting Rand to do it. Lan instead tells Moraine, "You're going to do it." He guides Rand to first check out Moraine's weaves, similar to how Logain did, and check out what's happening there. And then second, to be able to cut that knot so that Moraine can be broken free and unshielded again. So, James, that's exactly what happens here. Rand whips up some weaves, and we see his weaves have fire, and they have black and a strand of white. And James is giving me the thumbs down right now. What's up, James?
So there's been about one thing every episode that we've been like, why'd they do that? This is that for this episode. They
Okay.
have, as a storytelling method, they have been hammering in that Nynaeve can see a
Right.
thread and
Yes.
redo it, and technically you should be able to then undo it. And
Yes.
this fucker just cuts it with a surgeon. It looked so much like when either a Terminator 2 or
Yeah.
when you have some tentacle porn type shit, not really but that gets everyone's minds in the right direction. And like a little slice, a knife comes out of the tentacle and slices into someone, like cuts off their clothing. Again, we know our listener base is all perverts. So
You
they're like, no, I
dirties.
think just one of the hosts is. I For him to do that is so stupid. It should have been Nynaeve. It would have been such a great payoff to that. How are they going to pay this off? I guess when she undoes the neck thing on Egwene, and if that doesn't happen, if someone else does that to Egwene, unless it's what the queen to be punches Nynaeve in the back of the head and says, hey, I've actually been working for the Dark One this entire time, because there are some stuff recently that I'm like, she's a little suspicious. But the Nynaeve not doing this, I am
Nynaeve.
upset about it.
Yes.
And Rand
With
doing
good
it
reason.
seems what?
With good reason. Yeah, I'm with you.
Mhm.
Yeah, for story, it probably should have been Nynaeve. And this is not like a book thing or because this is all, just show stuff. You're absolutely right, but I think that you're gonna get your chance because there's a difference between being stilled and being shielded. Now, she thought she was stilled, and
Mhm.
stilled is unreversible, whereas a shielding is just a weave. So, pretty much anybody could do what Rand just did if they were able to see it.
Mhm.
So there's still hope for Nynaeve to do some crazy stuff, some stuff that nobody else has done before. Because, a shield being broken has happened before. That's not remarkable. It's remarkable for Moraine at this moment. I mean, like, she's reveling in the glory of all this, of course, and she's got her arms waving wildly, and she's feeling it, and she's back. So for her, it's wonderful. Uh, I think there's more to be seen. I think Nynaeve could probably make some more things happen. So don't be too dismayed by that.
But it just sucks that it's the focal point of the season finale last season
Yeah.
that carried over into this. It's been 7
Yeah.
episodes an issue, and it was established in episode 1 that, Nynaeve's, like, good at this and can, like, see this thread. That's what should have happened. Rand is the one who sees it and explains it
Yes.
to
Yes.
Nynaeve, and then she can see it, and she's like, "Wait, shit, I can undo this. I can unknot this." That it's
Yep.
someone's gonna need to give me wet wipes, because whoever did this, obviously a man. So many buffalo wings were consumed before this.
Right on, man. All right, I'm moving forward. Moraine opens the way gate. Um, it's open. They're all happy, getting ready to go through. Suddenly, Swan is back, and she's causing a problem. Remember, she was up there with Leanne, and she said, "Leanne, take care of these ladies. I'm gonna go find out what's up with Viren." So she found them pretty quick. I was wondering how she could have found them so quickly because she didn't have an Ogier map and she didn't have anybody following them. I think she followed the channeling,
Oh,
like
yeah.
when, she could sense all the channeling happening, and that's how she figured out where they were.
It also seems weird that she they should have made it a point to be like, "Hey, I could sense Moraine's channeling," opposed to just like, "Oh, and you said you were stilled."
That's right. Well, yeah, we're gonna get there right now. She immediately shields Rand again. He's easy to shield and get out of the game. She knocks out Lan, I guess, like with a head wound or something. She orders Moraine to close the gate. First off, now this is really interesting. This is the first time we've seen this in this show. we're watching like one of the oaths happen because we saw the oath rod when Moraine swore on the oath rod, and we know that all the Aes Sedai swear on the oath rod that they can't lie and all that other kind of stuff. So what we see here is Swan like ordering Moraine to do this in such a direct way that Moraine has to do it. She's like forced to do it. It's like you take your little brother's hand, you're like, why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? You make him hit himself with his own hand. Like Swan is using this leverage to force Moraine to do something against Moraine's will. Again, I mean, it'd be a stretch to call this as bad as something like, taking a warder's bond without his permission or rape or anything like that extreme, but she knows that she is forcing Moraine to do something against her will. And with them being lovers and the relationship that they have and the trust they have in each other, I think that's what we're seeing is that all being, torn apart.
Yeah, I wrote down you and I are done personally because you this is really fucked up, but Robert Jordan knew enough that, hey, this Harriet McDougal, not only do I love her, but she's a fantastic editor. She's going to edit my books. But Harriet should have known maybe I need a silly consultant because an oath rod is, yeah, sorry, guys. If that's part of the book, your books are also silly.
We know we're silly, James. They dress up a couple times a year and go to the conventions and get silly. I don't do that, but I've thought about it.
You should. Have you ever gone to a Wheel of Time convention?
I have not.
What's the big one?
Probably Jordan Con, I
Okay.
suppose. Yeah.
We'd go just repping Conan shit.
Yes. Hell yes. All right. I like the way you think. I
And by
like
that,
that.
I do mean Conan the wrestler. Conan the barbarian would be a fucking fantastic mashup.
What about Conan O'Brien? Can you throw him in there too?
I guess instead of Conan, who's typically like has a shaved head, give
Yeah.
him red hair
Yeah. Give
and a
him the Conan
pencil to
hair.
throw. So
All
then
right.
it's Conan O'Brien the barbarian.
Yes. There you go. And we'll both dress up as that for this Jordan Con. So, okay. We know that Moraine is visibly 100% not a dark friend. Like, we still don't know who all the dark friends are. Barthanes was kind of a surprise this episode. Leandrin's been we're just surprised in general because we like her and we don't know what she's up to. Moraine is 100% not a dark friend because if she was, that oath spell would not have worked and she
Mhm.
would have been able to deflect that easily. So, just wanted to remind you in case you're thinking, well, what if Moraine's a dark friend? Wouldn't that be fun? Because of what we just saw, that's like undeniable proof. Let's see. She closes the gate because she tells her to. Swan told her to. This is the first time that Swan has exercised her power over Moraine. Because remember, Moraine was the one who was always like the top, so to speak. Like when they
Mhm.
were in the bedroom, it was like, you bow to me, Swan. One of those kind of deals. So yeah, this is again, their relationship is over. I'm just gonna hammer that point home.
Can
So
I say something real quick?
yeah, of course.
In regards to Jordan Con, Jordan
Mm,
Con's not a big convention, and those are my
mm-mm.
favorite kinds of conventions, like a specific hyper focused niche thing that still draws like 1,000 people. Those are the best cons. There was a Tokusatsu Godzilla one that we do not go to anymore, which sucks. The person who put it on is a bad person, a shit heel person, we'll just say.
Okay.
And it sucks because it's such a cozy convention
Hmm.
that draws maybe like 600 to 1,000 people, maybe a little more. But yeah, I would love to go to Jordan Con.
Should we maybe make plans to do that? Sweet Shot
It's
of
in
Time represent?
Atlanta. Yeah, it's in Atlanta.
That's like right between the two of us, right?
Uh-huh, pretty much.
Yeah, neat. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I know that we'll be talking to Wheel of Time spoilers in a couple of months. They always go, and people in the Facebook group always post about going. Jen from Talkoroy Rayond always goes. So yeah, I mean, it's not like I wouldn't know anybody there. So I don't know. You're hearing it here first. Let's get back to the story though.
Yeah.
Lanfear casually arrives. She casually blasts Swan away. And as soon as Swan's out of commission, that immediately frees Rand from that shield that he was in. I'm not sure what to make of that. She says that a broken Amarillan is better or more useful than a dead one, which she was kind of like quoting Ishmael here because Ishmael said the same thing about Moraine. A broken Aes Sedai is more useful than a dead one, and that's why he kept Moraine around. So now Lanfear is kind of doing the same thing. So it makes me think that Swan is now either stilled or shielded.
I don't think so. I think the shield is like in Dungeons and Dragons, a concentration spell. So when you get hit or something like you cast another spell or there's other stipulations, but you have to roll to see if your concentration holds. And if it doesn't, your spell immediately disintegrates. I
Hmm.
think that's what happened
Hmm.
here. And the brokenness is she just saw her lover, her best friend, her confidant, her comrade go into a gate with the dragon and a Forsaken. I think
Hmm.
that is why she will be broken.
I don't know. This is a very good opportunity because the Amarillan seat, the Forsaken right there, having the power to do whatever they want with that person. They could shield them, they could compulse them. I mean, I think we got to put a pin in that and see what happens next episode. I think that's like a an opportunity just laying on the ground right there.
I think if you're in a relationship and you see your loved one go off with just a smoke show, who is so powerful and you feel inferior to,
Right.
all of a sudden you are going to lose all of your focus and you are going to start
Oh.
acting wildly or start
Oh.
thinking, well, maybe Meringue is being corrupted. Now I need to find just this Forsaken. I will forget about everything else that
Yeah.
is happening. And I think the brokenness is the focus and any sort of decorum that she would have had previously.
Yeah, okay. I'm totally on board with that. I like it a lot. Yeah, they're totally on different sides now, Moraine and Swan. We don't know what Swan's gonna do now because of this. It's a wild card. Um,
My last note for this section was
yeah.
when good mommy and evil mommy get together, the possibilities are limitless.
Yeah, that's so strange to watch Moraine and Lanfear hanging out together. So Moraine wants to guide Rand to Falme and allow him to become the dragon. And it seems like Moraine, Lan, and Rand are now siding with Lanfear in the ways. I don't know. This is just really interesting, and I just can't wait to see what happens next.
I won't say anything because I watched the next time on, and that I think gives light to why the Lan and Meringue are even going with her.
Okay. All right. Yeah, this is a real wild one, man. Yeah, did you have anything else with any of these guys before I move to our Falme group?
I do not.
Let me say real quick, Falme, that's wrong. It's Falm. So Heather's not a book reader either, and she wasn't into Wheel of Time until this season, and she's now correcting me on my pronunciation of words. So leave me alone. I can say Falme if I want, but yeah, it's supposed to be Falm.
Have you ever, while interacting with your children, maybe gotten one of their best friends' names wrong or been like, "Oh, you're hanging out with so and so," and they're like,
Yes.
I hope one of them calls you out and says, "Oh, so you remember all this Wheel of Time name bullshit, but you can't remember my best friend?"
Good call, Charlotte. Yep. Hell yeah. All right. So first off, we got Matt. We're talking about everything that happened in Karheen here. And Matt starts his day in Karheen. He wakes up that morning, he's hanging out in Karheen, walking through the town, and then he gets inexplicably kidnapped and taken to Falm. Now we know it's true because, he's with Lanfear here, and Lanfear confirms that this is not a dream. He goes outside and he's actually there at the ocean side and can see the California coast, the beautiful golden coast there. So I'm thinking that either he went through the ways somehow or some other kind of weird fast track, dark one, forsaken method. But he got on the other side of the ocean, or the other side of the continent very quickly.
I wrote a mountain man at the ocean sea. It's poetic.
It is. It's a country song. No, it's like a bluegrass song, not country. Excuse me, wrong genre. All right, so Ishmael enters here.
Real quick, it
Meet
could also be a Venga Boy song.
Ishmael comes in, starts up a pot of tea, starts to whittle, and just like Adam from Dark, Ishmael likes to start his conversations with bizarre like riddles and long monologues about suffering. This is exactly what the guy in Dark does, and he's my least favorite character in Dark. And if Ishmael keeps this up, he's going to be my least favorite character too. Talking about how he talks about all the suffering in the world and how he wants to end everyone's suffering. And this is when we get a good Matt line. Matt says, "Is this a sex thing or a murder thing? Because either way, I wish you would stop talking."
The That seems like a line that has stuck out with a lot of people. It was in a lot of reviews, and on the Facebook group, I think someone said Matt got the best line of the series so far, and I didn't look because I hadn't watched the episode yet, but I can only assume it was this line.
It's gotta be, yes. Because I've seen quite a few memes already with this as well. It's gonna go down in history. Um, and I think that's funny too. Like, is this a sex thing or a murder thing? It sounds like he's wondering like what kind of Netflix documentary he's gonna be watching.
Mhm.
Ishmael tells us that man has forgotten a lot, not just like these fancy brew teas, but there's a lot of technology that's been forgotten through the years. So instead of like I don't know. This society is the exact opposite of our society, where we think about the great technology of the future, and this society thinks about the great technology of the past that is no longer with them anymore. All the less, this tea is going to show your past lives. It's going to show all of your past lives, and you can like, what does it say? It reveals your soul to you. And he knows that Matt will be into this kind of thing. We got to remember though that this guy is called the father of lies because
Mhm.
he often will lie to people or mislead them with his words. So we got to take everything he's saying with a grain of salt.
Nicole asked me, "Hey, would you do it? Would you drink it?" And I said, "Well," and immediately she goes, "Oh, I would, I would." And I'm like, Well, not in this situation. If someone told me about this drug and was like, yeah, if you want to experience it, go for it. But not when the a Forsaken is telling me to."
Right. I love the way like that Donald Finn portrays this too of like, am I gonna do it? I'm gonna do it. And then he just downs it all like in one gulp before he can even take it back.
And I
Um,
know this feeling, guys, of saying, well, that's a bust. Then you stand up and say, it wasn't a bust. I screwed up.
this yes, very much like edibles or an acid trip here. Yeah, at first he thinks nothing happens. What a load of shit. Then he stands up and feels woozy. He's
It's
seeing his
because of
mom. Hmm?
Real quick, it's because I take omeprazole and I have to always remember, even though it says 30 minutes to activate, my stomach acid is heavily reduced. So to digest and get through my bloodstream takes like twice the time. Happened with
Right.
mushrooms. And the first time as an adult I got high, I was like, well, I guess that didn't do anything. Started playing Ratchet and Clank. Then all of a sudden I said, I'm feeling foggy and just this doesn't feel right. And then I stood up I'm like, I'll just watch something. So I stood up to turn off the PlayStation 2 and then it hit. I was like, oh no.
And then you saw your mom standing there and she was telling you how how disappointing you are. Did that
Yeah, and how I'll
happen?
be just like my father.
And then you saw yourself being hung. Let's see, what does he see? He
Oh,
sees
well,
himself being hung, right?
in my case, yes, because she says you'll be just like your father, a big dicked stud. I'm so glad you said hunged because I'm like, well, yeah, I was going to say the big dick stud before you said that, but then I'm like, oh, now it actually makes sense that I would say this.
I set you up. You knock him down. We see Matt drowning somebody in a tub, and we see him slashing someone's throat. uh, Even if these things do come true, or if they were his past lives, as they say, we don't know the situation behind them. These could be dark friends. These could be people trying to kill him, or he could be,
Mhm.
he doesn't know, but all he sees is basically what Ishmael wants him to see, this common thread of him being a bad person and his mom disappointed in him. In this great scene where, like, his mom, he looks up and his mom is him and he is him and they're screaming at each other. I love that scene so much. He did that so well. He being Donald did a great job on that one. Yeah, he awakens here with Ishmael, confirming that our lives repeat over and over, and that Matt's future lives will probably look a lot like those past lives. And only he can stop it. Only Ishmael can stop it from happening. So he's slowly convincing Matt to come to his side, and it seems like it's working. When we leave Matt here, he's crying and asking for Ishmael's help.
Mhm.
Like, and this is why I was like, what do you mean he's got 1,000 people? He's like weeping to Ishmael, asking for help at this, like when we leave him. It's awful.
Yeah, because he has 1,000 people behind him now, literally.
I guess. Yeah. Did you have any notes for Matt before we talk about the others?
Just the line that Ishmael says is, "I want to be able to close my eyes and never have to open them up again," which would only be for someone who knows all their past lives. Like, he forced this
Right.
on Matt. Matt wouldn't have had these thoughts beforehand.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's and there's even yeah, speaking of Matt too, there's even feedback that I have about that knife in the last episode or a couple episodes back when we saw that vision of Matt with the knife stabbing Rand. And a lot of people seem to think that that is all a ploy either implanted by Ishmael, or, that wasn't quite what we thought we saw. Maybe we saw someone stab Rand and then Matt came up to help him,
Mhm.
or it could be many things. But w- everything that Matt has seen so far is kind of a half truth, but he's being pushed in the wrong direction. I want him back. I want my Matt back, James, please.
Alright, take him.
All right, I will. He's right there on the floor crying. Wouldn't help. I can help him. Stevie's got you, Matt. Come on. We're going
Yep.
back to Nynaeve and Elaine now. They are in Falm because Matt's in Falm. So we're going to go to Falm too with all our other Falm friends. Nynaeve and Elaine are there hanging out, and they're hiding from the Sentient, of course. Nynaeve is like wondering aloud, like, how did this even happen? Like, how could this Sentient group come and occupy? And I think there would be a lot more resistance if they were super assholes after the fact. The
Mhm.
fact is they take these girls against their will. So those girls and their families hate them, but everybody else is like, "Hey, they're leaving me alone and everything's chill." So whatever, it's just another king. Who cares? And Nynaeve just is just beside herself how that could happen, how they could be occupied. Um, so they spot Loyal across the way. Elaine smartly says, "Do exactly as I say," to Nynaeve, and Nynaeve's like, "Okay." Nobody's ever said that to me before, but all right. We cut to Loyal. He's being laughed at by the dumb little shits in the town, and he gets pulled into the alley by Nynaeve. He's excited to see her. We get big hugs all around. He recognizes Elaine like straight away. He's like, "Oh shit, it's the princess." Or okay, I'm sorry. They don't say princess in this world. They say daughter heir. The daughter heir of Elaine Trakand of Andor. Nynaeve is straight up Nynaeve here. Get up, don't encourage her by
Yeah.
bowing. Your name sings in her ears. She knows. Get up. She just wants to get on with it. Uh, we get some intel about Egwene, like where Egwene is, how she's being captured. um, how pretty much how hopeless the situation is where she's at. They promise that they're going to get her out. They're going to get Loyal out too. Just stop bowing. We'll get you too. So Nynaeve like gestures down to her purse and she's like, "We have everything we need right here." I was like looking at her purse, like, "What are you talking about?" Find out later she's talking about the Adam that they have stolen. So we see them later on and they're capturing Ascension Soldam. Immediately slap that Adam on her. Elaine clocks her with a block of wood. "You just got knocked the fuck out."
Yeah.
And that's Nynaeve and Elaine. They now have a Soldam Damane that they can work out and save the day, hopefully. Any notes for Nynaeve?
Nope.
Alrighty. Let's go to our poor Egwene. She's also in Falm, of course, with Ascension. She's a Damane. And so the Soldam and the Damane are out there in the field. They're testing their strength. And they were explaining that, just to get to this point that they're at, just to get their Damane on a leash and to, be um, compliant is a huge effort. Next step now is to see how strong they are. Rena's like, "Don't embarrass me." We don't see Rima this scene. I was hoping we would see Rima, but I guess she hasn't gotten to this point yet. But we see the first Damane go out there, and she has a nice, respectable blast. Pretty good. It almost reached us. Nice job. But Egwene's next, and she's going to blow the roof off the place. Now, you can tell that it's weird that her Damane Rena didn't give her Ascension name. Like she's like,
Mhm.
I'll let Egwene keep her name. And that other lady is like, "Ugh." Like, you kind of fucked up on that one, but she lets it go. Let's see what you got. Egwene, of course, is huge, powerful, does a massive mega blast. First, Rena gives her like a really shitty pep talk, but then she does a big mega blast. The whole city feels it. Even the little kitty cat like jumps up and is like, "Meow."
It woke up a sleeping cat in the city. It was real cute.
I loved it. So,
And
hmm?
before she blasts off, she's like, "Hey, you don't need to do like I don't really need much from you. I got this covered." And kind of gets scared in a sense of, "Oh, wait, you're, like, giving me too much power." Maybe
Right,
afraid you're going to
right.
burn yourself out or you're going to harm me, but, eventually it's like, "Oh my god, I love you so much. I wanna wash your hands."
That's right. Yeah, speaking of kitty, like this next scene, like Rena brings her like a bowl of water, like a little kitty cat bowl. Yeah, then she starts washing like a Egwene or like oiling her off or something. I guess just like taking care of a little prized pet. Like she's really happy. She's talking to Egwene how like everyone's going to be united under the light because of the ascension, and that you and I, Egwene, our destiny was to fight together in the last battle with with you on a leash and me by your side. Egwene laughs and says, "You know what, Rena? I will kill you."
Nicole said,
Th-
"Hell yeah to that."
and not only that, not only is she like, "I will kill you," but did you notice like when they were on the field like doing the little blasts, they had their hair like all sentient, all knotted up and
Mhm.
crap.
Yeah.
Egwene took that crap out, gets right back to her Two Rivers braid. It's like, "I'm gonna Two Rivers you right now. You're gonna see one day."
Nicole said, "Oh, she's gonna strangle her to death with her braid."
I wish.
And I said, "I don't think that would work, or would it? Because, like, you have to like, you can't, like, be like, 'Ugh,' from your hair."
Going forward, I got high hopes here for Egwene because she's got a lot of grit. Yes, she's compliant. She can now take bowls of water from Rena and she's not going to like kill Rena. But she's got that Two Rivers braid. She's got the killing spirit. And then she's got Nynaeve and Elaine on the outside, like working on that leash thing. I've got high hopes here, man.
Mhm.
All right. And our last dude, Perrin. We can't forget about Perrin because last episode they forgot all about Perrin. we're bringing him back for two brief episodes for two brief scenes here. He is traveling with Avienda, his new pal, and Hopper, and he spots a woman in the sand, and Avienda compliments him on like how well his eyesight is, because she's surprised that just a regular dude could see like the cool things that Aiel are trained to see. So who she sees is her two friends, Bain and Chiad. I don't know if I'm saying their names right. People can correct me if not, but I think it's Bain and Chiad. So they're performing what's called maiden hand talk. Looks like they're doing like American Sign Language, like maybe one of them's deaf. Not the case here. This is what all these maidens of the spear do. They have this secret language, and it's for secrecy and it's for, stealth. And that's the reason they talk like this. And so they can also like share secrets openly in front of other people.
It's like how critters talk in Critters.
Okay. I'll take your word on that one.
In that it's subtitled.
Oh. Okay. Well, we're standing here at the rocked grave of Jolene. She's been buried due to like a sword infection. This is something I didn't tell you, James, but the Maidens of the Spear and Aiel in general hate swords. Like they see a sword, like you and I might see a gun as like a weapon that's like designed for killing, and it's a wetlander weapon, and we turn our nose up to it. Us Maidens of the Spear, we like spears and we like knives, but we don't like swords. So just take that for what it's worth. This other friend of theirs had a sword cut and an infection, and she died. We hear Avienda say another cool quote, a very Wheel of Time quote: "Life is a dream from which we all must wake before we can dream again." She sees the fact that Jolene is dead as her fault because they were in a battle together. Avienda was supposed to be protecting Jolene. Jolene got hit. She's dead. Avienda's like, this is my fault. So what she does here is she feels like she has toe to Jolene, just like she had toe to Perrin for setting her
Mhm.
free. She has toe to Jolene, but Jolene can't do anything about it because she's deceased. So instead, she asks for her friends to punish her to relieve her of that toe. Otherwise, she would be going through the rest of her life like feeling guilty about what happened. But because she was properly punished in the proper Aiel tradition, she feels that she's been relieved of that pressure now. So that is the instruction, is to beat her until she can no longer stand. And when she can no longer stand, that's when the punishment's over.
Mhm.
This is
Nicole's like,
all
"What are
very
they?"
weird. Yeah, go ahead.
Nicole was like, "What's going on?" And I said, "I have no idea, but it's probably this." And yeah, I assumed correctly. I was like, she probably feels like she's the reason why she died.
Yep. Hopper and Perrin don't like this at all. Perrin, tries to interfere. Bane's like, nope. And then Hopper's all like, "Arr, I don't like this at all. Arr." And we
He
don't like
starts
it
doing
either.
he starts doing a fancy little hopping dance, saying, "Oh, won't this appease you?"
Right. Well, she gets her toe, and then we cut to our last Perrin scene. Uh, I don't like this scene. This is the bad night filter scene.
Yeah.
Can't TV shows, especially shows with budgets like this, shoot day for night in a in a believable way? What was that filter they used?
Your Hopper's even angry at it.
I know.
The only thing I could think of is they are trying to show not just that it's nighttime, that maybe this is what this area looks like. Maybe there's a fog or a haze, like a dirtiness in the air. That's the only thing I could think of.
Okay, we'll go with that then. The night is full of haze. Well, maybe it is actually, because remember the city. Oh, I take that back. Karheen is the city that was burning. Falme is not burning. It's just a city on the beach. At any rate, yeah, bad filter. But we got our gang here. It's now Bain and Chiad are with them, and they're giggling and stuff. And Perrin's like, "How can y'all be laughing after they just beat the crap out of you?" And she's like, "Well, that was that's when she explains the toe. Like the toe is an obligation. It was my fault that she died. We're all good now because I got my punishment.
Sounds like Quentin Tarantino directing a film. The toe is an obligation contractually.
I didn't get it, but now I do. That's great. All right. She talks about Avienda, talks about the significance of rings. Like, you got this ring, so that means that you can't lie with anyone else. He's like, more or less. She says, Bain will be disappointed. Chiad won't care. So this is an interesting little group we got here. Bain and Chiad, just to clue you in, they're very popular characters within the Wheel of Time world.
Mm.
They're very much like the White Stripes of the Wheel of Time, where it's like you're not sure if they're sisters, if they're lovers, if they're best friends, if they're cousins, but they're just always together.
If they have ear damage and so they can't hear anything from 0 hertz to 300 hertz, and that's why there's no bass line in there.
I mean, it's obvious that they're into each other, but then there's like, like she said, like, Bane might be interested in you, but Chiad, no chance. So they arrive in Falm and they're amazed by the water because these Aiels just don't see water. On their side of the continent, it's all dry. The further east you go, the more dry it gets. The further west you go, the wetter it gets, baby. So yeah, this is the first time they've seen like a huge body of water. So they're pretty amazed by it. They're as amazed by the water as we're amazed by the shitty filter that they're using for this scene.
But I don't think it was day for night. I think it was slightly nighttime. So maybe it was too dark. And then they had to rise the gamma a little bit to brighten it. Because normally in day for night stuff, you can see shadows coming from
Sure.
atop of them. And that I
Yeah.
was looking for that and I
Yeah.
couldn't. So I think this is on purpose.
Okay, I can see that. Well, I only got like two more notes. Did you have
I
any
got
notes before I give my last two?
No, I got 0 notes left.
All right. Um, Somebody in the Facebook group was because I said it last episode too. I was like, Madeline Madden as Egwene did such a fantastic job in episode 6. She deserves an award for that. She deserves an outstanding award, an Academy Award. And then somebody in the Facebook group chimed in and was like, that's kind of true, but Zoe Robbins as Nynaeve has been the best actress in the last 1,000 years.
It was very good. I saw that.
Loved it. And then my last note, um, a spoiler that James forced out of me totally against my will back in episode 5. There was a spoiler that we revealed. And so, James, I just want you to be prepared because I have a suspicion that that spoiler that I told you is going to be happening on the next episode.
Okay.
I don't know for sure, but it just kind of seems like it'd be a really good time for it to happen.
I wonder if it's Ishmael doing it to make him more dog.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Who
And
knows?
I think the Leandrin thing of, hey, maybe she'll go the other way. I
Hmm.
think what we'll see instead is Leandrin becoming fully into the darkness and what's her name? Evil
Uh,
mommy? Lanfear. I think she will
okay.
then jet into the light. I think that's what will
Oh.
probably happen. As you've been saying, both of them could
Hmm.
be going either way, and I
Hmm.
think that's going to be because yeah, I held out fate for Leandrin to say, "Hey, I'm actually doing this for the good of everyone instead of just me." But I don't know because she told this child unless she knew that the mom was listening. That could be the only thing is, I know you're a dark friend,
Right.
and oh shit, fuck no, I'm back on Leandrin's side. She knows he's a dark friend and knows the mom because she has ears everywhere. She knows this. She knew that because this is probably where her biggest rival Moraine learned it from. So she's listening and will kill him before he gets into power. So I'm back on her side. Best character is her now,
All
and
right.
worst character. No, I'm kidding. Best character is probably Lan for sure. I really loved what he was doing. And worst is, I don't know.
Yeah, hard to say the worst. I would say the worst would be Swan, the way that she kind of
Mm,
went back on everything and how she's going against the whole dragon plan. I picked her as my least favorite, Swan.
I'll I'll say the nephew.
Okay, Barthanes, that makes sense. This guy is really trying to get in touch with me here. Um, yeah, I think my favorite also Lan. I've batted about, maybe Viren because I'm really a big Viren fan. Logain because he made me laugh 3 times. But yeah, Lan, the way he orchestrated everything this episode, I think head over tails there. And what you were saying about Barthanes and Leandrin, that's why this episode is called the Game of Houses, I believe, because we saw like what looks like a really simple, setup double cross solution. Now our bad guys in jail, everything's okay. But it seems like no matter what the outcome is with this, it's going to benefit Lanfear more than
Mhm,
anybody else, no matter what the outcome is. If he had succeeded and killed Moraine and Anivir, then that would have been good for Lanfear, that is. If he had been caught and imprisoned, that's kind of good for Lanfear. If if he had gone through with it and then gotten caught, that also benefits Lanfear, does not benefit Ishmael. So some
mhm.
of these outcomes, do not benefit him while all outcomes benefit her. And we saw Leandrin hanging out with Lanfear like last episode. Remember, they had like a little private discussion about what to do next. This is the what to do next thing. So
Mhm.
I think there's a multi-layered outcome that will unfold even more opportunities for our friends.
Well, let's fingers crossed Leandrin. I just want this prediction to be correct because I was so staunch on it.
You also said you based something on something that I said, and I could be the father of lies too. I knew all along that Berthanes was a dark friend. I just didn't know
Oh.
how it was going to play out. And I know of 4 dark friends that have not been revealed yet, and I'm just playing along with them too. Um,
Just tell me is the woman with alopecia.
what? Oh,
Just so I can be angry and not in the moment angry. Actually, don't tell me.
yeah, like I because I mean, there's a whole storyline around her, and I don't want to spoil anything.
She better not be.
She better not be. I agree. She better not be. That's my I said I lie. Because I actually think that. That's actually true. She better not be. I do not want her
Okay.
to be.
All right.
So
Wait,
yeah,
but you actually believe she will not be a dark friend.
no, I know the truth. I know what happens, but I don't want her to be a dark friend. I don't
And
want to see that happen.
I might also know the truth. You can bleep this because like don't look up any. I'm just trying to the book readers out there, okay?
Okay.
Maybe not in the first sentence of, "Hey, I would like to know who is playing this character." So in the wikia of when that character is brought up, it shouldn't say bleep this. Are you capable of bleeping things?
Yeah.
Does she kill Egwene or Nynaeve?
Who?
The alopecia lady, because I think that's what in when I googled it, I think that
Oh,
character, unless I spelled the name incorrectly, there's some shit about that.
I'll have to. I'll bleep in this.
We don't. All your apprehension says everything. Hopefully, they don't do that in the goddamn show.
She does not kill Egwene or Nynaeve. One full
Okay,
stop. She does not kill Egwene or Nynaeve.
all
I'll tell you
right.
that right now.
Then maybe I saw a
So,
fan fiction thing.
well, you saw Egwene's name, which is correct, but she did not kill Egwene.
All right.
I'm sorry that you delved into that
I
that
didn't even
sphere.
try to. All I had to do is find out if this actress has alopecia or if this is for just like, hey, we're putting a bald cap or doing effects on her.
It is
And then,
unfortunate, like, when you look up these Aes Sedai by their name and you go to the wiki of time, like, it's the first thing that it will say is, like, their alliance It'll say
I did
dark friend.
I didn't even click on it's just like when you Google something and there's like
Oh,
a little
that
blurb.
too.
That's the
Jesus.
blurb.
You need to Bing it next time, my friend.
I guess, or just ask you, "Hey, how do you spell this so I can go on IMDb?"
Right.
Steve, what
Well,
do you have to plug?
I'm gonna plug Anal Dentata. James has put out an album called Anal Dentata and got a bunch of people to remix it, and I did it too. I remixed Anal Dentata. I'm gonna release an intro void version, but I'd like you to check out James's version because it has many, many tracks on there that all sound completely different, but it's the same tune. How about you, James? What you got?
Hey guys, anal dentata is an homage or a reworking of vagina dentata from the movie Teeth that was released in 2007. If you go to patreon.com/MLM pod, Lil Corey and I discussed that movie at length in one of our most analytical episodes. But you don't need to sign up at the $5 tier. It's available for everyone to listen to because
Yay!
it also works as the world premiere of Anal Dentata. You can listen to it right in the beginning. But if you want extra content, if you're like, I love episode 34 of This Existed, I want to listen to episodes 1 through 33, plus engage with Nicolas Cage talking about Beyblade, Death from Above, Mostly Speaking Sentai After Dark, The Citizens of Townsville Z, all of that. It's 4 years of content available now at patreon.com/MLM pod. For $5 a month, you get exclusive content every single Friday. And $10 patrons get all of that plus monthly content and shout outs on all our free feed podcasts, the ones that I edit.
That's right. The one that I edit, I'm just going to shout out myself. I'm a $10 Patreon. Shout out Steve Barnes, Introvoid, Sweet Child of Time. Hell yeah. So, James, that was our episode. We get to watch a new episode. The final episode of the season comes out Thursday in a couple days. I'm psyched. I hope you are too. I hope Nicole watches. But for now, to everybody, I hope all listeners find water and shade. And James McCullum, I hope you always find water and shade as well.
And I hope that shade isn't the weird filter they put on that scene. Bye.
No joke. Bye bye.